There's a person in your head who has the life you actually want, and you've been spending more time with them than with anyone real. You know exactly what they look like, how they carry themselves, what they say in the moments you stayed silent. They've given speeches, won arguments that already happened 3 years ago, loved people who may or may not know they exist. And every single day, in the shower, on the commute, in the 4 minutes before you fall asleep, you go back to them. You've been the writer, director, and lead actor of a show no one else has ever seen. And it's been running for years. Fair warning, some of you are going to zone out during this video. Not because it's boring, because something I say is going to trigger a scene, and before you catch yourself, you're already gone. When you come back, you'll be somewhere between 10 seconds and 3 minutes behind. That's not a bug. That's exactly what we're talking about. Here's what the inside of it actually looks like. You're pacing, headphones in. There's a specific song, maybe the same 3 songs on repeat, and your body needs to move because the scene in your head is at its peak and sitting still feels physically wrong. You're not just listening to the music. The music is the soundtrack. Your feet are keeping time with a plot only you can see. Or you're in the middle of a real conversation, nodding, saying the right things. And somewhere behind your eyes, a completely different conversation is happening. The one where you said what you actually meant. The one where they understood. Or you're replaying something that happened. A fight. A goodbye. A moment that went wrong. But this version ends differently. This time, you had the words. This time, they stayed. You've been doing this so long, you don't always notice when it starts. So, what is actually happening here? In 2002, a clinical psychologist named Eli Somer identified a pattern he kept seeing in his clients. Vivid, absorbing, narrative-driven inner worlds that had started to compete with real life. He called it maladaptive daydreaming. Not daydreaming in the loose, everyone does it sense. Something more structured than that. Longer, more detailed, with recurring characters, internal rules, emotional stakes. A 2022 epidemiological study estimated that around 2.5% of the population experiences this at a clinical level. That's roughly the same prevalence as OCD. And yet most people who have it have spent years assuming they were just weird, unfocused, broken in some quiet, unnameable way. Here's the mechanism. Your brain has something called the default mode network, a system that activates when you're not focused on a task. It's the part of you that wonders, imagines, plans. In most people, it idles. In people with maladaptive daydreaming, it builds, it constructs, and it gets very, very good at delivering something the outside world often can't. Resolution, control, a version of events that makes sense. Neuroscientists who study this describe the dopamine loop as nearly identical to the one driving behavioral addictions. There's craving, that pull toward the daydream when you're bored or stressed or overwhelmed. There's tolerance. The scenes need to get more elaborate over time to deliver the same relief. And there's withdrawal. That specific irritability when someone interrupts you mid-scene. You know that feeling. You've felt it. What researchers found in 2024 makes it even more specific. 4 out of 5 people who experience this use music combined with repetitive physical movement as a ritual trigger. Pacing, rocking, swaying. The music isn't background, it's a key. Your body learned that when the right song comes on and your feet start moving, the door opens. That's not random. That's a trained neurological response. And here's the part that reframes everything. The content of these daydreams isn't usually pure fantasy. Studies show a significant portion of it is corrective. Your brain is replaying adverse experiences, moments of rejection, failure, loss, and rewriting the ending. Not to escape reality, to repair it. Your mind is doing something it genuinely believes is useful. It's trying to fix what hurt you. It just can't stop. But here's where it gets complicated. The highest rated comment on videos about this topic isn't from someone describing the damage. It's from someone who said, "The ability to run multiple scenarios in your head is the ability to prepare for multiple outcomes. Coworkers think I can predict the future. That person isn't wrong." Some of the most precise thinkers, writers, and strategists describe their inner worlds in exactly these terms. The capacity for complex, narrative, emotionally loaded mental simulation, when it's working for you, is genuinely rare. Therapists use versions of it deliberately. Writers call it the only place they actually live. There are people who have taken this exact wiring and turned it into the most valuable thing about them professionally. So this isn't a video telling you something is wrong with you. But here's the part worth sitting with. The people with the richest interior worlds are often the ones who externalize the least. Because the internal version, the one where you have the right words, the right face, the right outcome, that version is perfect in a way the external world can never match. So you stop trying to match it. The gap between what you imagine and what you do gets wider, and the daydream becomes not just a retreat, but a replacement. You can visit a place and love it. You can also move there and never leave. The difference isn't the place. It's whether you still have somewhere else to be. The sign it's costing you isn't the frequency. It's the question. Is there a version of your real life you keep putting off because the one in your head is easier to live in right now? There's a certain kind of person who ends up watching something like this. You've had this since you were a kid. Maybe 8, maybe 5. Maybe you don't even remember starting. It was just always there, the place you went when home was loud, or lonely, or unsafe, or simply not enough. You built a world because you needed one. That's not a flaw. That's survival doing exactly what it was supposed to do. You never told anyone. Not because you were ashamed exactly, more because you knew, even then, that there were no words for it that didn't sound like a problem. So you kept it, all of it, for years, decades maybe, and you just watched a video that described it back to you in detail? That feeling you have right now, that strange mixture of relief and exposure, that's called finally being seen. You're allowed to sit in it. And the world you built wasn't wasted. It kept you here. It carried you through things that might have broken you otherwise. That matters. And now, if some part of it is keeping you from the life you actually want to be living out here, that matters too. You don't have to burn it down. You don't have to choose between your inner world and the real one. But you do get to decide, maybe for the first time, which one you're building for the future. That choice is yours. It always was.